Hi there, I'm Dr. Connor Bell, and I'm the Bassoon professor at West Texas A&M University. This video is to help you prepare for the Bassoon All-State auditions for ATSSB in the 25 to 26 school year. This video is for the first one of the etudes, number 21, from the Weissenborn method. This is actually one of my all-time favorite etudes in the book, so I'm really happy you're getting to study it. I do encourage you to learn the whole etude at some point. For ATSSB, you're only doing the first 16 measures, which is a great taste, but once you've gotten all of your benefit from those first few lines, you should go ahead and learn the rest of it too. If you are getting started with this, I encourage you to get a copy of the Weissenborn. There are two great new editions, one edited by Doug Spaniel and the other one by Frank Morelli. And also, because the Weissenborn is in public domain, I've created a special new version of it just for the auditions that only have the 16 bars that you have to learn, and also clean up a few of the misprints and confusing things. So if you don't already have a copy, or even if you do, check out my new edition available on my website. For this etude, it's supposed to be very lyrical. It's marked cantabile, so it should be very singing. And it's also an opportunity for you to learn how to execute some ornaments and how to play very musically without those ornaments messing up your phrasing. Remember that ornaments are just that. They are the last little bit of shininess that goes on. Think of it like a Christmas tree. If your Christmas tree is ugly, no amount of ornaments are going to make it look good. If the tree underneath is really, really good, then the ornaments make it really special. And that should be your goal here. So you should be learning how to do the ornaments, but you should also be doing a lot of practice without the ornaments to make sure that the phrasing and your musicality and your tone quality are really good before you add them in. Also, make sure that none of the ornaments distort your rhythm. That is a very common issue here. I'll talk you through how to do each of the different types of ornaments that you'll encounter in this. But first, I want to call your attention to a couple of rhythmic issues that are very common with this etude. First of all, in measure 1, we're in 6/4, and we have a lot of time changes, so keep track of where you are in the measure. The second grouping of notes in this bar, those are 32nd notes, not 16th notes. Make sure they're fast enough. And similarly, in measure 2, if you're looking at one of the standard editions of this, that is a double dotted quarter note. Not just a quarter note, not just a dotted quarter note. It's really long. It's almost a half note. It's a half note minus a 16th note. And it's also in a wrong place. You're not supposed to put those on beat 2, but old Julius missed that memo. If you're working off of my edition, I've changed it to a quarter note tied to a dotted eighth, which is a much more helpful way of thinking of it. All right, let's look at some of these ornaments. The first one you encounter is in measure 3, and it looks kind of like an S turned on its side. This is called a turn. Basically, to execute a turn, you start on the printed note, you go up one note, you go back to the printed note, you go down a note, and then finally go back to the printed note. So, ba-da-da-da-dum. Usually the second half of that is played like a triplet, so that the beginning of it can be a little bit longer. Yan da 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 dum, and then you continue on with what's printed. You'll notice in all of the cases in this etude where turns are used, there are accidentals involved. If the accidental is above the turn, it refers to the note that's above the printed note. If it's below the turn, it refers to the note that's below the printed note. So this first one in measure 3, you play a G, you play an A, you play a G, you play an F sharp, and then finally a G again. Measure 5, it's a trill. We're firmly in the Romantic period by this point, so you can start from the printed note and then just go up from C to D natural, wiggle your finger. It's nice to start without the trill, then slow, and then speed it up, depending on how long the printed note is. In this case, as a half note, you have plenty of time, so don't make it too rigid of a trill. Make it a musical gesture. And then the last type of ornament that we have in this etude is in measure 7. where we have two mordents on beat 4. These are written as squiggles. All those is one single trill. It's just like a trill, but you only do it once. So for the first one that's on an E natural, you play the E, you play an F, and then you go back to the E. Do-ya. That's it. So that measure should sound like ba-dum, bum, ba-da-do-ya-da-do-ya-da-dum, like that. And you get a little bit of an emphasis on those last two eighth notes in the bar, which help drive it forward. Last thing I want you to think about with this etude is tension and release. Leading into a lot of these dissonant notes that are on downbeats, like in measure 4, that G sharp on the downbeat is a crunchy note if there was harmony. It's the interesting note. So we drive into that and then relax out of it. That same idea happens a lot throughout this etude, and if you think about those points of dissonance, you'll play much more musically. If you're working off of my edition, I've added a lot of dynamics, some hairpins, some printed dynamics. All of my editions are either in parentheses or the hairpins are drawn with dotted lines. If you're playing off of the original, Weissenborn doesn't really give you any information. I think there's only a single dynamic indication in the entire etude. So whether you're doing what I suggest or doing your own ideas, do something. One final thought for this particular etude. The indicated tempo is actually very fast. I much prefer this etude at 52 beats per minute to the quarter note, which gives you a lot more room to breathe, and there should be a lot of push and pull. Start with the metronome at a steady tempo, but then as you get more comfortable with the etude and all of the rhythms, we can have a little bit of rubato, a little bit of stretching and pulling here and there. Good luck.